Welcome. In this video we're going to teach you how to calibrate and clean a Flamingo rotary valve piston filler, semi-automatic. Okay, so first thing we need to do, if nothing's happening, auto, nothing's happening, we need to release our e-stop. Okay, make sure it's not on automatic because otherwise it will immediately go into a cycle, for example. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to calibrate the speed at which the liquid comes out and draws back into the cylinder. We are also going to calibrate the amount of liquid coming out from the cylinder. Okay, so now we are going to aim for 300 milliliters, or let's say 250 milliliters. Okay, if I do a shot now, there are several problems that we're going to envisage. Okay. Number one, coming out way too fast. Number two, the volume was way too much and it was probably drawing back too quickly as well. So what we need to do, first thing we need to do is let's calibrate the amount of liquid coming out. Okay, so we're going to bring this air magnetic sensor closer toward the back of the cylinder. Okay. Now for this particular machine, 250 mil is basically the bare minimum, so we're going to have to reel it all the way in. Okay, so now as you can see, still coming out way too quickly. So on this model here we need to change the feed material speed, the out material speed. So we're going to regulate this, we're going to bring it in to regulate the pressure so it comes out slower. Okay. If we limit it too much, nothing's going to happen. While it's filling, we can adjust this. Okay, so we're still overfilling greatly. So what we need to do is we need to bring it further back.
What's the full volume?
Full volume is 2600 milliliters. Okay, so now let's see what we get. Okay, so right now we hit just over 250. We're going to bring that back. We're going to see if it's consistent first. Hmm, 250. So I lost a bit of liquid there. It was. Okay, I'm basically on 250 there. We'll do it one more time just to make sure it's consistent. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to slow down the drawback of the material. So we're going to regulate this air in so it will draw back slower. This will give us a more consistent result. Okay, so you see how actually after it filled it still continued to top up. We're filling just on 250. We'll just do that again to get the same filling volume. And a bit shot out, so as you can see there. So what we need to do is we need to actually slow down the feed speed just slightly, and we may even need to regulate the shut-off speed just slightly on the nozzle. Okay. So here we're at that same point, just over 250. So we're going to bring it back and we hit 250. Once again, we're going to bring it closer to the end of the cylinder. Even the smallest adjustments can make the biggest difference. So now we're on 250 on the money. We'll do that one more time. Okay, so we could probably increase that volume slightly. Same volume, slightly under 250, we're about 240. Okay, so now what we're going to do, This is crucial. Now let's just muck around with these things here. So I'm going to completely disorientate them and change them. I'm going to see what happens. See that? How it squirted out the material after, and it also affected the filling volume. Okay? The reason is because the nozzle is not in sync now with the cylinders in the drawback, and at the time it draws back to the time at which this is shut off. So we want to get back to that same position. We want to regulate the speed of it coming up, and we want to regulate the speed of it coming down. Okay, so if we pull them in a little bit, we can. Okay, so still come up in volume a little bit. Have to wind it back. And the feed speed will slow down slightly, okay? We're back down to about 250. We need to slow it down a little bit and slow this down as well. So as you can see, the settings here on the nozzle can affect the filling volume. So that will be consistent. Just over 250 there. Okay, now another important thing is this. If I loosen this nozzle up, we're going to see that it's going to start to drip. Now the reason for this is, see, if I loosen the nozzle, it will start dripping. The reason of that, because this shut-off nozzle here is not sealing with the internal seal in here. So if this actually needs to be 1 or 2 millimeters past the end of this thread, so it can connect with the seal inside the nozzle attachment, and that will stop the dripping. Okay, so if you see now, it will be dripping. Just wait a few seconds. It will drip. Yep. Now shut that off. Make it airtight, and the dripping will stop. Now to do that, this is what we need. This is what we have to do to calibrate the nozzle and the distance at which it shuts off. First thing, always for safety, hit our e-stop, take the air out of the machine. Okay, so we can see no air. Now it's safe to work on. What we'll do, just take out our air lines, can detach our nozzle. Straight out. So what we need to do is you need to get a spanner, another spanner, and you need to undo that thread and then extend the distance of this a few mil so it protrudes further and connects better with that seal on the nozzle attachment. So that's quite crucial to ensure an anti-drip. So that just slots together in there, and you can push that down and clamp it back together. So now I'm just going to go through the orientation of the rotary valve. I'm just going to put it in automatic mode just to get rid of the remaining material in there, just to make it easy. So it's going fairly slowly. You don't want to just get the material out of there as fast as possible. I'm just going to open these up as In this case it's taking too long, but it's a good example of what this machine can handle. Completely waterproof, no problem. Okay, so now I've just gotten all the water out. The machine is completely air operated, so getting it wet and washing it down is not a problem. Now I'm going to get into the cleaning of the rotary valve. Safety first, e-stop, air off. No air into the machine, we can hear the air release. First thing to do is undo these nozzles. Take off the nozzle, put that aside for cleaning later on. Okay, then we'll take off our rotary valve connection. Okay, so just unclamp here. Watch out, because the material will always end up with a full cylinder. Yeah. To avoid this, what you can do is at the end of the shift, to get all the material out of the cylinder, is put it to a full cylinder, and that way you can discharge all the material in there easily, instead of going all over the floor, of course. So basically now we've got all the material out of that, we can take out our cylinder. So these are quick release ratchets, so designed to be easy to take apart. Okay, so the cylinder will slide straight out. We don't need to do it in this case because it's just water. And now we will clean the rotary valve. Okay, and this is where it comes crucial. As you can see here, the rotary valve needs to be disassembled and put back together in the same orientation. Otherwise, it will cause problems with the consistent filling. Okay, so as we can see here. And never do this when the machine is plugged on, because you could potentially lose a finger. Okay, so what you need to do is, as you can see here, you can see to the end of the cylinder. Now, if I were to get my two fingers and put them in between here, I could be able to touch them. That is the orientation, because the material is coming in from the hopper and going into the cylinder. What happens is the rotary valve then swaps that way and shuts off the hopper and pushes the material in through the nozzle.
Two different sides.
Yeah, so now I'll take it apart and you can see what's going on. So first thing we need to do is take this one off. So undo this will just come off like that. Okay, put that in our bucket for washing. The next one is our end cap cover. Bucket for washing. Now be careful with this part so it doesn't fall and damage. This, push our finger, thumb, that whole component will come out. That's our rotary valve. Now, as you can see, this is the orientation of which, when the machine is off, or when you hit the e-stop, it should be in. So the material is coming in from the hopper into the cylinder. Then what will happen is it will flip over as such and go through to the nozzle. Okay, like that. Like that. So, we can take that out. We can go now cleaning, and this doesn't necessarily need to be cleaned. So, these here basically just adjust the, for example, so now we're going to put it back together and I'll show you what I mean. This needs to be facing up. Holes so you can see straight through, one towards the cylinder. Might need a bit of a jiggle to get in. Yep, and that's in now. Now, basically once we put it in the rotary valve, I can explain what these two here do. Now we'll get our rotary valve. Everyone has their preferred option of doing this. This is mine. So I get it all together, put it like that, and I basically just drop it in. Never force it because it will get stuck. So if it doesn't flow freely, put it in through the other way. Now that's back together. You can see in the hopper to the cylinder. That's shut off to the nozzle. Okay? put our end cap back on. And we'll put on our clamp. Now that's back together. We can put it back onto our cylinder. And blue hose in the front. Usually the longer hose is the one in the front. And the back. Now these adjustments here, be cautious on when you do play with them, because they do actually affect, for example, if this is not perfectly in line, some air might be coming in, which could create air. So basically, you can adjust these to adjust the actual positioning of where the rotary valve is in its home position. Okay, so if you can see down here, it's all pretty smooth, and that's all pretty good. So we can tighten back up our rotary valve, put back our nozzle. And then we can either attach our hose or our hopper, or other size hoppers. Thank you for watching. It's a Flamingo semi-automatic piston filler 2015 series. We keep these machines in stock, and thank you again for watching.